Hello everybody. Today I am going to deal with yet another subtopic of engineering mechanics. In this chapter of engineering mechanics, I am going to take the fourth session, that is for principles of engineering mechanics and force system. So in this series of videos, this will be the fourth in this series. So let us start this session with a recap. So in this session, we will once again recap the earlier class, and then we move forward to the some more new concepts. We have seen that for finding the resultant of several forces acting concurrently on a point, we have two methods. That is a graphical method, which is the polygon law of method. Polygon law of forces can be used graphically, and yet another method is analytical method. For in polygon law of forces, we take all the forces in same order in some according to some scale as magnitude. Then we draw the figure. Then the closing side will represent the resultant, which should be taken in reverse order. That gives the direction of the resultant. So the direction and magnitude is given by the closing side of a polygon, which is in the reverse order. Then we have seen the analytical method, that is we resolve each and every force with respect to some axis. Normally we resolve the forces according to our rectangular coordinate system, that is x and y axis. We resolve a force into two components. We have seen that two forces, when acting perpendicularly to a body, then we can find the resultant R is equal to P square plus Q square. Since cos theta is 90 degrees, we don't use 2pq cos theta. The actual formula is we have seen that R is equal to root of P square plus Q square plus 2pq cos theta. Since cos theta is 90 degrees, cos theta will become 0. So the formula has only two terms, P square plus Q square under root. So R is equal to P square plus Q square. We have seen it in a special case that when two forces are perpendicular to each other, simply we square them and add them, and that will give the root of square of the resultant. Basing on that idea, we have seen that a little knowledge of cos thetas and sin thetas, we can split a force into two components. So since two perpendicular forces can be combined to get a resultant, conversely we can also divide a resultant into two perpendicular components. So that process we call it as the resolution of force. So a force can be resolved into two components, that is vertical component and horizontal component. So the vertical component will be along the y-axis, horizontal component will be along the x-axis. If P and Q are two different forces acting at some angles, we can find the resultant. Conversely, we can split a force R into two components, horizontally and vertically, that is P and Q respectively. This technique is used for finding the resultant of several concurrent forces, because all concurrent forces, they act at the origin. So every force will be in one quadrant of the other. by taking each force separately and finding the resolving the force into two components, all the forces can be resolved into their respective horizontal and vertical components. These horizontal and vertical components, finally, all the several forces, let us say n number of forces, so we will get n number of vertical components and n number of horizontal components. Since these components act along the x-axis and y-axis, all horizontal components act along x-axis, and all vertical components act along y-axis. So therefore they become collinear forces. Since we know that all the collinear forces can be algebraically added, so by adding all the collinear forces, or all the x components of several different forces and y components of different forces, finally we reach that we have only two perpendicular forces, that is sigma fx and sigma fy, that is sum of the horizontal forces, horizontal component of forces, and sum of the vertical component of forces. So once we get sigma fx and sigma y as two perpendicular forces, again as per our formula, that is as per our formula for finding the resultant of two concurrent forces, two perpendicular concurrent forces, r is equal to p square plus q square under root. Similarly, this r will be given by r is equal to fh square plus fy square under root. Similarly, we can find the alpha, that is the angle between the horizontal and the resultant, that is given by tan theta is sin theta by cos theta, or sigma fv by sigma fh. That will give you tan alpha is equal to sigma fv by sigma fh, or alpha is equal to tan inverse sigma v by sigma fh. That is sigma v by sigma h, or sigma fh sigma fv by sigma fh. That is sum of the component of vertical forces by sum of the components of horizontal forces, horizontal components. So with this background, we have found out resultant of force of a single force. That is, if we have seen that AB is a force, so we can split AB into two components, that is horizontal component AC and vertical component BC. If theta is the angle, the horizontal component AC is AB cos theta. So sin theta is equal to BC by AB. So BC is equal to AB sin theta. Therefore, the horizontal component will be F cos theta and vertical component will be F sin theta. Thus, a force F is resolved into horizontal and vertical components F cos theta and F sin theta respectively. Here we have to keep in mind that our theta is with respect to horizontal. Whenever the theta is with respect to horizontal, we get the horizontal component as f cos theta and vertical component as f sin theta. Otherwise, it will be reversed. If the theta is with respect to vertical, then the horizontal component will be f sin theta, the vertical component will be f cos theta. So instead of getting confused, it is better to follow the same notation that the always keep the force, the angle of force with respect to the horizontal. After measure the force should be always measured with the horizontal, so that we will get the vertical component as sin theta and horizontal component as cos theta. So we have followed some notations for the forces. That is, when the force components the forces may be acting at any of the four quadrants. So depending upon the quadrants, the components will have their different signs. That is, whether they may be positive or negative. So it is conventional that we follow right as positive when it is horizontal component, when it is towards moving towards right or pulling towards right, then we call it as a positive force. That is, F, the component of force will be positive. If it is upwards, we treat it as positive. So vertical forces, when they move upwards above the x-axis towards y-axis, if it moves, we call it as positive force. Below the x-axis, we call them as negative forces. Similarly, when we take the y-axis, vertical axis, when the forces move towards right, we consider them as positive, and the forces which are to the left, we consider them as negative. So these are the standard notation generally followed, and also there is no hard and fast rule that only right should be considered as positive. Some may consider right forces towards right as negative, and as they wish, but finally the notation should be consistent. So we have to be consistent with the notation. Sometimes if we follow right, sometimes we follow left, then it will cause confusion, and finally the resultant will be wrong. So depending upon the quadrant in which the force is acting, their components, we have seen a table. That is, if F1 is force acting in first quadrant, then horizontal component is positive towards right, and vertical component is moving towards up, so it is right. So both are positive. F2, if quadrant 2, in quadrant 2, the negative, the horizontal component is towards left, so it is considered as negative, and vertical component is moving towards up, so it is considered as positive. Similarly, F3 and F4, F3 is acting toward in the third pattern, so both the components are negative, and also for F4 the horizontal component is positive because it is moving towards the right, and vertical component is moving towards downwards, so we consider it as negative. So this is the background for finding the resultant, for resolving the forces, and also determining their sign, that is whether it is positive or negative, because they all form collinear forces. Depending upon their sign, we add, that is we add them algebraically, that is depending upon the direction. If it is left, we subtract. If it is towards right, we add. Similarly, if it is towards up, we add. If it is towards down, we subtract. So finally the summation will be according to their directions. We have seen an example. Let us see an example for resolving a single force into two components. So let us consider a force of 100 kilonewtons acting in the first quadrant with making an angle theta with respect to the horizontal. Then our aim is to resolve that force into the horizontal component and vertical component. For force F is equal to 100, the horizontal component will be F cos theta, and vertical component will be F sin theta. So Fh is equal to F cos theta, and Fb is equal to F sin theta. Since theta is 60 degrees, F is 100 kilonewtons, we will calculate Fh is equal to F cos 60, Fb is equal to F sin 60, Fh is equal to 100 into cos 60, that is 50 kilonewtons. The answer will be 50 kilonewtons, and Fb will be 100 into sin 60, 86.60 kilonewtons. Therefore, the force 100 kilonewtons is divided or distributed into two components, that is horizontal component has 50 kilonewtons and vertical component has 56.60 kilonewtons acting at 60 degrees. If we want to check our result, we can also think that one the vertical force is P, that is 86.60, and horizontal force Q is equal to 50 kilonewtons, and then R is equal to F. So F is equal to P square, or R is equal to P square plus Q square under root. So by calculating 50 square plus 86.6 square under root, we will get 100. So here we can say that this resolution, by resolving, we have divided into two components. Similarly, those two components we can find out the resultant also. The resultant will be same as our initial force which we have taken as 100 kilonewtons. So this proves that our resolution is correct. That is, we have divided that force into two components correctly. Observation. We depending upon, basing on this problem, we can observe some results. That is, here the force is 60 degrees. That means the other angle is 30 degrees. The angle with respect to vertical is 30 degrees. The angle with respect to horizontal is 60 degrees. So the force is towards acting nearer to the vertical axis. So therefore the magnitude of vertical component will be more and the magnitude of horizontal component will be less. Here the magnitude of vertical component is 86.60 and horizontal component is 50 kilonewtons. Thereby we can simply, by looking at the figure, by simply processing in our mind, we can find out that which component will be bigger by knowing the direction. When the direction of the force is nearer to any axis, that particular component will be bigger than the other component. Suppose if it was case of that the force acting at 30 degrees, then automatically the horizontal component would have been bigger than the vertical component. Since the angle of force is 60 degrees to the x-axis, that is horizontal axis, the force is nearer to vertical axis, that is at an angle of 30 degrees. Hence the vertical component is more than the horizontal component. If the angle would have been 45 degrees, the angle was 45 degrees, both component would have been equal. That is, one is cos 45, the other component will be sin 45. So sin 45 and cos 45 are same. That is 1 by root 2 and 1 by root 2. Therefore, the components will be equal. We can conclude that if any force acts at 45 degrees, the horizontal and vertical components will be equal. Similarly, if the angle was less than 45 degrees, that is, it is nearer to horizontal axis and far away from vertical axis, the horizontal component will be greater and vertical component will be lesser than the horizontal component. So FH would have been greater than FV. So in the first case, FV is greater than FH. Here FV is equal to FH. Here FV is less than FH. So let us take another example to concrete our idea about the force and also its effect when it is lying in some other quadrant. Let us take an example of the second quadrant. Suppose this force is acting at 45 degrees to the horizontal, that is 45 degrees to the vertical. So what happens? Here, as we know, as we have seen, the angle is 45 degrees, therefore the vertical component and horizontal component should be equal. because the angle is same. So the vertical components and horizontal components are same. Here in this example, let us see what is the effect of force when it is acting in the second axis, the second quadrant. This force is of 200 kilonewtons. The magnitude of this force is 200 kilonewtons. It is making an angle of 45 degrees with respect to the horizontal axis. So our aim is to resolve the force into two components and see how the components are acting, what are their signs, and now we will move on to the problem. So this angle is 45 degrees. So for the force F is equal to 200 kilonewtons, Fh is equal to F cos theta, the horizontal component. Since we are measuring with respect to the horizontal axis, the components are F cos theta and F sin theta. The F cos theta is horizontal, F sin theta is vertical. So if F is equal to 200, theta is 45, Fh and Fv will be, Fh is moving towards the left. Since it is in the second quadrant, that is moving towards the up and left. So the components will be moving, the x component will be towards left and y component towards will be towards up. So the this is y axis, this is x axis, and this is the action of force. So when the force is moving like this, it is also moving vertical and also horizontal. So we can say like this, that force is moving towards, in the second quadrant means it is moving up and also moving towards the left. Therefore the horizontal component is minus cos 45 and vertical component is plus sin 45. Therefore Fh is equal to 200 cos 45, that is minus 141.32 kilonewtons. F is equal to 200 sin 45. If we calculate, that will come to 141.32 kilonewtons. So here we observe that since the angle is 45, that is middle, at the middle of the quadrant, it is passing, it is dividing the quadrant, the force is quadrant, dividing the quadrant into two equal halves. Therefore it is 141.32 and 141.32. But if here we observe, the forces are one force is Fh is negative and Fv is positive. That we have to keep in mind. That is, the resultant is the the components are moving vertically upwards and horizontally towards left. That sign is very important. That is minus 141.32. That minus sign and plus sign we have to be very careful. Otherwise, when several forces are acting, if the sign is not proper, then the final answer will be wrong. So after this solving this problem, we have some observations. When the force acts at an angle of 45 degrees, its components are equal. That we have seen earlier also, that when the force is at 45 degrees, then the components are equal. Similarly, when the components of equal forces with equal inclinations either double or nullify each other depending upon which quadrant they are. That is, when let us suppose two components are there, two components are two forces are there, two equal forces, then the two equal forces produce two equal components. Depending upon their direction, whether they are moving opposite or in the same direction, either they double or they nullify each other. If suppose two forces are acting in the first quadrant and second quadrant at the same 45 degrees and the same magnitude of 200 and 200 kilonewton, then one horizontal component will be equal to 141.32. The another horizontal component will be 141.32. But the signs are different. The one is plus 145 towards first quadrant component will be moving towards the right. The second quadrant component will be moving towards the left. So when we add them, it will become 0. Similarly, the vertical components, if we consider, the first quadrant vertical component will be to moving towards up, and second quadrant vertical component will be moving towards up. So they will both add up, and that component will be 282.64. So the same for that, I have taken another example, the example 3 in this series. Let us see this example now. That is, two forces P and Q are acting to the horizontal. So each force is 200 kilonewtons. The angle between the horizontal and each force is 45 degrees and 45 degrees. So they have 45 degrees of angle. Here if we observe, simply by observing the figure itself, we can say that the horizontal component of Q will be towards right, and horizontal component of P will be towards left. Since P and Q are say equal both in magnitude and direction, their components will be equal, but they are in the opposite direction, so they nullify each other. Similarly, the vertical component of Q will be upwards and also P will be upwards, so both will be adding. So two forces, they become two collinear forces in the same direction, they will double up. So we have two forces P and Q. Q is in the first quadrant and P is in the second quadrant. For the force Q, we have, let us first take the first force Q and resolve. We will resolve the as our procedure. When several forces are acting at the same point, we resolve them according to the individually we resolve them. So if we resolve this force, then we have 200 kilonewtons. That is, Fh will be equal to Q cos theta. Fv is equal to Q sin theta. For first force, so horizontal component is Q cos theta. For horizontal vertical component is Q sin theta. Since theta is 45, Q horizontal component will be 141.32 and Q vertical component will be 141.32. That is cos 45. 200 cos 45 is 200 by root 2, that is root 2 into 100, that is 141.32. 2 by root 2, it will be 2 by root 2 into 100. So it is root 2 into 100, 141.32. Every time we need not depend on calculators. Sometimes we can directly calculate from our mental ability. The other force P is 200 kilonewtons. It is in the second quadrant. The second force is lying in the second quadrant, the P. It has also the horizontal component Fh is equal to, therefore we can see that the vertical component will be towards up, so the vertical component will be positive. The horizontal component will be moving towards the left, so the left force will be negative. Fh is equal to minus P cos 45, Fp is equal to P sin 45. Therefore, horizontal component of P is equal to minus 141.32, vertical component is plus 141.32. Now, if we see, since horizontal components of forces P and Q lie on x-axis, and they become collinear because all the forces will be acting on origin. Their components will be either on x-axis or y-axis. So all the components will be about the same, either x-axis or y-axis. Since these two components are on x-axis, either we should add them algebraically because they are collinear forces. Collinear forces, the sum of the resultant of collinear forces will be simply their addition algebraically. So algebraically we have to add, that is we have to add them according to their signs. That is, it may be plus or plus minus, whatever it is, finally we have to add them according to their sign. Therefore they can be added algebraically. So sigma Fh is total horizontal component of forces is equal to QH plus PH, the horizontal component of Q and also the horizontal component of P, the horizontal component of first force and the horizontal component of second force. That is, one is moving towards right, the other is moving towards left along the same axis or same straight line. Then we are adding them. So sigma Fh is equal to QH plus PH, that is 141.32 minus 141.32, because as per our notations, the right side are positive, that is for Q it is positive, for F it is negative, QH is positive, QFH is negative. Therefore 141.32 minus 141.32 will be summed up to 0. They make 0. So finally the horizontal component will be 0. So there is no horizontal component. The net horizontal component is for two forces is 0. So for both forces, if we resolve, we have only, there is no horizontal force at all. Sigma Fh has become 0. Similarly, the vertical component of forces P and Q lie on y-axis, because the vertical component is vertical for first quadrant, it will become vertical. For the second quadrant also it will become vertical. We have seen, if it is in the first quadrant, this vertical component is this. Similarly, so the second quadrant, the vertical quadrant will be this. So both are towards up. So since they lie on the same vertical axis, they are collinear. So collinear forces are added algebraically. Since they are moving towards up, they have the same direction, therefore they are added. So sigma Fv is equal to Qv plus Pv, that is vertical component of Q plus vertical component of P, that is 141.32 plus 141.32, that is equal to 282.64 kilonewtons. So from first example, it is a combination of these two forces. For first example, we have seen what is the horizontal component and vertical component of force in the first quadrant. In the second example, we have seen the what is the vertical force, vertical component and horizontal component. Similarly, in third example, we have put those two problems are added and formed the third example. So in this third example, we have seen two forces. They are in two different quadrants, that is first and second. Then we are looking for what is the resultant. So then we have vertical force and horizontal force. Vertical force, horizontal component is 0, vertical component is 282.64. Finally, we are left with only FH and FV. As we know, the resultant of two perpendicular forces is p square plus q square under root. Or now from now onwards, we will say instead of p square and q square, we will say fh square and fv square under root. Because sigma fh is horizontal components and sigma v are sum of vertical components. So the final resultant is given by the under root of sum of all vertical components, square of vertical components plus square of horizontal components. So that is why from now onwards, instead of our using the formula r is equal to p square plus q square under root, we say it is r is equal to sigma fh square plus sigma fv square under root. Same, instead of p we are saying fh, instead of q we are saying fv. Simply we have changed the terms. There is no change in formula or any usage. Simply for our convenience, since P and Q are only two forces, here sigma fh are the summation of many forces. That is why we are using the term sigma fh, that is summation of horizontal components, and also sigma v, the summation of vertical component. That is why now let us say resultant r is equal to root of fh square plus fv square. Since we are left with two forces, only two perpendicular forces, that is r is equal to sigma fh square plus sigma v square. Similarly, theta is equal to tan alpha is equal to sigma fv by sigma fh. Tan alpha is equal to sigma fv by sigma fh. Tan alpha is sin theta by cos theta. So it is the vertical is sigma fv and horizontal is sigma fh. So tan alpha is equal to 282.64 by 0. That implies that alpha is 90 degrees. That is the resultant, the direction of resultant is 90 degrees to the horizontal, because only we are left with vertical forces. So automatically the direction will be towards y-axis. The direction will be towards y-axis, along the y-axis. Then the resultant direction with respect to the horizontal is 90 degrees. That is only we are left with only the perpendicular components, no vertical components. So there cannot be any it cannot produce any other angle other than 90 degrees, because they will be moving towards perpendicular towards up. So that means those two forces, two components of Fv, that is P and Q, two components of P and Q, that is Fv1 and Fv2, or vertical components of P, vertical component of Q, they are joined, they are merged together to form 282.64 kilonewtons, and they will be moving in the vertical direction. Therefore, the tan alpha is 0, that is alpha is 90 degrees. When let us go for some observations. When the forces, because we have taken two forces, we have their vertical components and horizontal components as same. Vertical components and horizontal, that is we have the vertical components are 141.32 for P, let us say. The horizontal component is 1.14.32, the vertical is 141.32. Similarly, for Q force also, the vertical component is 141.32, the horizontal is 141.32. Because we have taken a special case, that is, we have taken a special case of 45 degrees each, and also the forces of 200, to show that we are showing many things in this problem. That is, we want to prove that components will be same, and the horizontal components will be equal, vertical components will be equal. Simply they have different directions. So what happens when they have different directions? That's what I want to prove in this, through this problem. That is why I have taken this equal forces, so that we will know that what is the net effect. So when the force act at 45 degrees, they have equal components. Since the two forces are acting at same angle and same magnitude, their components, four components, all the four components are same, that is 141.32. But the problem is about their directions. Since their directions are different, then the resultant will be, the resultant vertical component, the resultant horizontal component will be different. That is, sigma Fh and sigma Fv will be different. Here we have seen sigma Fh as 0, because the right hand component, the component in the first quadrant, has given a horizontal component in the right side. The force in the second quadrant has given the component towards the left. Since they are equal, they become 0. Similarly, the vertical component of the force in the first quadrant gave upward component, and also the force in the second quadrant also given the upward component. So these two components, they get added, so they have doubled. So that is why we got 282.64 as vertical, sum of the vertical components, and 0 as the sum of the horizontal components. Suppose if this P was in the opposite direction, in the third quadrant. Let us suppose that P was in the third quadrant. What would have been the result? By common sense, by our observation, if we see that PQ will form a straight line, because the angles are same, that is 45 degrees with respect to the horizontal, then Q will be moving at 45 degrees to the horizontal. Q will be moving at 45 degrees to the horizontal. So they will form a straight line. So two forces will become collinear. P and Q will be collinear force. but in the opposite directions. Since they are in the opposite directions, those forces become zero. Two collinear forces, they can be added algebraically. That is minus 200 and plus 200 is equal to 0. But according to the resolution of forces, we have to do it. By common sense, we can say that it is 0. But if we resolve it and solve it, how the what results we get? Results we get. For in the first quadrant, we have sigma, that Fe will be in the horizontal direction, Fh and Fe will be both positive. Fh is towards right and Fe will be towards up. So Fe, we know it is plus 141.32, Fh will be plus 141.32. For the third, in the third quadrant, what happens? The components will be both negative. One will be minus 141, the horizontal component will be minus 141.32, the vertical component will be downwards minus 141.32. If we add them, sigma Fh will become 0, sigma Fv also will become 0. So thereby we can prove that even though we know that they are collinear, they are moving opposite direction, force 200 and 200 get nullified, the resultant will be 0, but by taking their components, by resolving them into components also, we can show that the sum will be equal to 0. That is, the final resultant will be equal to 0. That is, R is equal to sigma Fh square plus sigma Fv square. Fh square will be 0, Fv square will be equal to 0. That is under root of 0 square plus 0 square will also give you 0. So thereby we can say that when two forces are acting collinearly, some of their components will get nullified, or the sum of their components will become 0. Therefore, the net effect will be 0. So this is how we can see through these three examples, and also fourth example, which I explained you orally. We can see that the resolution of forces can be done by using a simple formula, that is F cos theta and F sin theta. And once we get, for every force, F1 cos theta 1, F1 sin theta 1 for the first force, F2 cos theta 2, F2 sin theta 2 for the second force. We can simply add them, that is F1 cos theta 1 plus F2 sin theta 1. F2 sin theta 2 will give you horizontal component, F1 sin theta 1 plus F2 sin theta 2 will give you horizontal. Similarly, this logic, this analysis can be applied to any number of forces. So even though there may be any number of forces, since they are concurrent, they act at the origin. So every force must lie in one quadrant or the other. Therefore, we can resolve them into horizontal component and vertical components. Only thing is, we have to be careful about their signs. Once we get horizontal components and vertical components, the problem will become very simple. That is, by adding them, we will get the sigma Fh and sigma Fv. And finally, we use the parallelogram law, that is, resultant is equal to sigma Fh square plus sigma Fv square under root, and the direction will be given by sigma Fv by sigma Fh. Tan alpha is equal to vertical sigma Fv by horizontal sigma Fh. So alpha is equal to tan inverse sigma Fv by sigma Fh. So this will be very simple to solve once we get the idea of resolving a single force. Once we have command, once we understand how to resolve a single force, that knowledge can be applied to any number of forces in any number of any quadrant. Simply by taking each force, we will resolve each and every force, and their components are added, and finally we will get the R is equal to Fh square plus Fe square under root. So once we get the hang of this how to resolve one single force, the same thing can be applied to every other quadrants, every other force in each and every quadrant. It will become very simple once you practice that how to resolve a single force, and once you get clear idea about how the signs are taken. So whether the force is going towards left or towards up, we have to be clear where the components are moving. So depending upon, so once we are clear with in which component it is and which side it is, the solving the problem will become very very simple, and it is very easy to solve these problems. By solving this problem, typically we get a 10 marks question or now 5 marks question, that is the essay type question, to resolve some 4 or 5 forces acting on a concurrent on a point. So by having command how to resolve a single force, we can easily do such problems. So in the next session we will see how to resolve 5 concurrent forces, and how to tabulate the results, that we will see in the next session. Till then, thank you very much. Thank you for being with me. I hope this session will be useful to you. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.